Good afternoon, everyone. This is BremSter, and today I'm coming to you with a puzzle called Less is More by Jodawo. Jodawo actually sent me two puzzles a couple of days ago saying that he'd found my channel and that he thought that these would be interesting for me. And on that point, if you want to get featured on my channel, the easiest way to do that is actually just send me puzzles. I don't get anywhere near as many submissions as some of the other channels out there. And it is moderately easy for people to get puzzles featured on my channel at the moment. However, I am getting a bit of a backlog and a bit of a queue, and I don't want to just do the same setters over and over. So it would be good to get new setters into the rotation, but it does mean that I can't promise anything, and I don't always solve everything. Jodawo has said that these puzzles are a little bit more difficult than he's seen me solve recently, so it is possible that I will fail at this and it will disappear into the digital trash can of doom. But if I do manage to pull it off, this, I am assuming, will be a nice video. But if you do wish to submit puzzles to me, all of my contact details are always below, as will be the link to where you can try this puzzle yourself. I know a lot of people like coming to my channel to find the puzzles, and they actually try the puzzles and don't watch the videos, and that's fine too. I mean, it would be nice to get that YouTube watch time, which is what actually causes YouTube to promote my channel and cause more people to come and find the puzzles and therefore be able to try the puzzles and maybe not watch the videos. But you know, that's the way it works. I understand that people are much more interested in the puzzles than they am in watching me solve them, often badly, and that's fine. It is all about the puzzles. So how does this puzzle work? So this is, like every puzzle I've covered so far on my channel, a Sudoku with lots of variants. So on this grid, you have normal Sudoku rules. So in every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 must be placed without repetition. This is also an anti-knight puzzle. So what that means is if you were to place a digit, and the traditional place to explain it from seems to be the central box. So if I was to put a 3 into the middle box, not only are the normal digits or normal cells that that would see, which are those ones, unable to be a 3, but also any digit that would be able to jump to by a knight's move in chess, which are all of those highlighted cells, 2 in one direction and 1 in another, they cannot be 3s either. So, and that's true for any cell. So if I picked that cell, then these cells also would not able to be 3 because they can be seen by knight's move. This has arrows in it. So the digits you place along arrows, you would sum them up, and that sum would go into the head of the arrow. You have killer cages, which means if you were to put the digits from the killer cages, you sum them up and they have to total the digit in the top left corner of the cage. I imagine I'm going to need my calculator for this. And finally, we have what are listed in the rules as black crop key, also known as ratio dots, which means that the digits, the cells, the digits that are separated by these black dots must have a 1 to 2 ratio. Not all dots are given, so there is no negative constraint. You could easily have, those two cells could easily have a 1 to 2 ratio. That wouldn't be a problem, but these ones must. And with that, this puzzle should be solvable. Let's give this a shot. So when you have a ratio or a black crop key relationship like this, and you have 3 cells that have that relationship that can all see each other, we immediately can put a 2, 4 in the middle. And the reason for that is the only digits that can have a crop key or a ratio relationship are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. 5, 7, and 9 cannot have a ratio relationship because their ratios are either something and a half or something over 10 or 10 or higher. And if you were to put a 1 in the middle, you'd need to put 2 on both sides. If you were to put a 3 in the middle, you could only put 6. The only thing it's in a relationship with is 6, and you'd have to put 2 6s. So you cannot put a 3 in the middle. The minute you can't put a 3 in the middle, you can't put the 6 on the outside. If you were to put a 6 in the middle, you'd have to put a 3 on outside. So you can't put a 6 in the middle, you can't put a 6, you can't put a 3 on the outside, and if you put an 8, you'd have to put a 4 on the outside, so you can't put an 8, and you end up with 1, 2, 4, 8, and a 2, 4 in the middle. So we have 1, 2, 4, 8, and a 2, 4 in the middle. So that's how that works. And once you get used to it and you see this relationship, you can just immediately pencil mark that in. Now, these are all arrows that have three that see each other. So they have to be a minimum of at least six. So there's 6, 7, 8, or 9, because the minimum you can put on a 3-cell arrow is 1, 2, 3, which is 6. I'm not sure if 27 in 5 is going to be very relevant to start with, because there are lots and lots. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ways of making up 27 in 5. So I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Actually, there might be less than I think, because I've got to use 1, 2, 4 or 2, 4, 8. Are there any that use 1, 2, 4, I suppose, is a question. So if I use 1, 2, 4, I don't even need my calculator for this, I don't think. If I use 1, 2, 4, I've got 7. Oh, that's beautifully simple. If I use 1, 2, 4 in here, that's 7, which means these two digits would have to add up to 20, which is blatantly impossible. It'd have to be 10 and 10. So I cannot use 1 in any of those cells. They must be 2, 4, and 8. Which means that can't be an 8. Is that true? Well, actually, it's easier than that. So let's take this further. This is 2, 4, and 8. So that can't be a 2, because if that was a 2, then these would be 4 and 8, and 8 is not in a relationship with 2. So this is a 4, this is a 4, these are 2 and 8, these are 2 and 8, and this can no longer be an 8 because it sees both of those cells. So this cannot be an 8. So this is 6, 7, or 9. If this was a 6, this would be a 2, and that doesn't work. So that's not a 6. So if this is a 7, this is a 3, and if it's a 9, it's a 5. Okay. Oh, this can't be a 7. This is so... Okay. If this was a 7, this would be 1, 2, 4, and it can't be 1, 2, 4. So this is a 9, which means this is a 5. This is not a 9, so there is a 1 on this arrow. There is no 9 here because that sees that by knight's move, which means there is a 1 on that arrow. This cell here can't be a 1 because it sees all of those cells. It sees those two by regular Sudoku and that one by knight's move. So that's not the 1. So the 1 in this column is down here. This must have a 1 on it, because the only way to make 9 in 3 without a 1 is 2, 3, 4, and I can't do 2, 3, 4. So there must be a 1 on this arrow, and I can't put 1 there because we know the 1 is down there. There is a 1 in one of those two cells. And there must be a 1 in this 27 cage. Okay. Okay. So these now total 14. So what I need now is 13 in 2. Now, 13 in 2, again, so I can't use 4, 9 or 5, 8. So these both have to be 6, 7. So if this is 6, it's 1, 2, 3. Can I disprove that? I'm not sure I can, because that doesn't see all of the cells. I could easily replicate that there or there. I just can't put it there. I think that can be any of them at this point. Okay, this has to have a 1 on it. So 9 with a 1 on it is 1, 2, 6, or 1, 3, 5. I can't do 1, 4, 4. So it's 1, 2, 6 or 1, 3, 5. So it's 1, 2, 6. This is a 1, 2, 6. There's no 1 there. Well, that means that the 2 in this row is over here, not here. That's the 8. That's the 2. There is now no 2 on this arrow. So I can't do 1, 2, 3. It's not 6. I can't do 1, 2, 4. And the reason I can't put a 2 on this arrow is those two cells see that 2 by regular Sudoku and that one by Knight's Move. 1, 2, 4 doesn't work. So that's not a 7. This must be an 8. So it can't be 1, 2. It must be 1, 3, 4. So this is a 1, 3, 4. That 4 sees that cell. So that's not the 4. That's a 1, 3. 8 is over here somewhere, but I don't know where. So this is a 1, 2, 6, and it must have a 1. This is a 6, 7. Oh no, that's a 7. That's a 6. 1, 2. This must be a 3 now. So I've got a 27 cage that must have a 1 and a 3 in it. So it must have a 1 and a 3. So that's narrowed the options down to 1. It's 1, 3, 6, 8, 9. So there's no 2 in there. So it's 1, 6. These are 8, 9. That becomes a 2. That becomes an 8. There's no 8 in here. So there must be a 2 on. Okay, this is jumping all over the place. But it's very clever. So this is 6 or 7, so there must be a 2 on this arrow. It's either 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 4. The 2 cannot go there, so that becomes a 2, and this is either a 1, 3 or a 1, 4. Hang on. This is 1, 3, 4. I don't know which that is yet. That means that can't be a 4, but that still could be. Eight has to go somewhere in there. In fact, it has to go in one of those two because that 8 sees there. Hang on, I've filled out all of the cages now. The only thing I haven't fully resolved is this arrow. Well, as to what the clues are telling me. I know this is an 8 arrow, 1, 3, 4, 8 arrow. I know this is a 1, 3, 6, 8, 9, 27 cage. I know how this cage is made up. So I'm mostly down to Knight's Move now. Okay, what are these two cells? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 6 and 7. Three must be in there. So 3 must be in there. And the reason 3 must be in there is that 3 knocks it out of those two, but they must be in there. That means 3 is in those, and it can't be there because that sees that one by Knight's Move. In here, one can go in any of them, I think. Because those 3 aren't seen by any of them. 3 is the same. 5 is in those ones. And 9 can go in any of them. 2 is in those. No, 2 is in those two. 4 is not restricted. And and 7 is not restricted. So how do I break out of this? 2 seems to be the most restricted. And even that's not very restricted. So 1 can't be in any of those, but that's not helping me. I need to narrow this down. Nine. That, oh, what am I talking about? That 8 sees that, that's 9. How did I miss that? I'm looking for much more complicated stuff. So this doesn't actually restrict that any further than it did. It does put 9 into one of those two, which puts 9 into these 2 rows, because these cells now can't be 9. So 9 is restricted to down here. So in this row, 9 can only be in those. It's not very restrictive. Is this row what I should be looking at? Or maybe this column. Where does 8 go in this column? Because 8 can't go here, it can't go on this arrow. So 8 is not in any of those, and that 8 sees all of those. That's an 8, which puts 8 into one of those two. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 9 must go in there. Can I reduce any of those? No. So 1, 3, 4, 5 and 9. Can I pull that trick off somewhere else? How do I break into the knight's move on this? Here we go. 7. I need to spot this stuff faster. So this 6, 7 means that I can't put 7 into there, which means 7 must go into there, because if I put 7 here, it would knock 7 out of both of those, and if I put 7 there, it would do the same. So 7 must go in one of those two, which means that's a 6 and that's a 7, which puts 7 into one of those 3, which is much less interesting to me than I would hope. But it does, what does it do? 7 is not there. It doesn't do anything, does it? 6 in this box is now in one of those. It's not there. I just need to get something to kick this in. So 2 is in one of those two, which means 2. I have a hunch on 7s, but there it is. Okay, 7 in this box. 7 can't go, so I'm going to highlight all of that box. 7, because of those two, can't go in those. 7, because of that one, can't go there. And knight's move from there means that can't be a 7. So 7 is in one of those 3. That, all of those see that cell. So if I put 7 here, it sees that by knight's move and all, those two by Sudoku. This has to be a 6. This is a 1, 2, 3. So now we know that these are 2, 4, and 5. No, there's no 2 there. 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. That's not a 4. But anyway, we've got this as a 6 now. So 6 is in one of those two. So 6 is in one of those two. Maybe I need to keep going on 7s. So 7, I'm going to just highlight 7s again. So this is something I used to do when I started solving knight's move puzzles. And I was struggling with them a lot, is I would highlight like this all of the possible candidate locations, and then I would look for eliminations. Like that cell sees all of those, so that can't be a 7. Now that cell can't be a 7 because it sees all of those. This does not seem to be... Because what you can often do is, so in a situation like this, if that was still capable of being a 7, you could remove it, but I'm not seeing anything jumping out at me. No. Okay. So what do I look at next? One, 3. I've already got 3 limited to there. All of these clues were very nicely placed to start off what feels like a very tricky knight's move puzzle. Is it 8s? Because I have quite a few 8s in the grid. So if I do my highlighting trick, 8, 8, 8, 8. Is that right? It seems to be right, and I'm not seeing... Does that mean that has to be an 8? I can't put an 8 there, there, or there. That's not an 8. That's not an 8. And I can't put an 8 in any of those. That is an 8 right in the middle of the grid. So we know that those are not 8s. That sees that one, so that's not an 8. So now in this column, the only place for an 8 is there. That is not an 8. And we've got an X. This is now a 6-8 pair. Okay, that gave us some stuff. What is next? So this is a pair because it says it can't be 1, 2, 3. It's 4, 5. So this is a 4 or a 5. But it doesn't see any of those. I've got the 2s there. 2 is in those 3, those 2. 2 is in those and in those. Is that right? Well, it's not there because that sees all of those. This is a tricky knight's move. Either that or as I often do, I am just missing it. So down here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I still need to put 5, 6, and 7 down here. 7 needs to be in one of those 2. But that's across boxes. 6. And 5 seems to be almost completely unrestricted. Hang on. 6 can't be there or there. So 6 is in one of those 2. If that's a 6, 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 that's a 6. Okay. I think that all works. If that's a 6, that's a 6, that's a 6, that's a 6, that's a 6. Yeah, it's not enough to do. One, 3, 5, and 6 in here. So 1, 3, 5, 6. That's not a 6. That's not a 6. What am I missing? 4, 5, 7, 9. 5 has to be down here now. So that's not a 5. 5 is in one of those 2. That's not a 5. So 5 is in one of those 2 and in one of those 2. So these are 4, 7, and 9. Four, 5, 7. It's not 4, that's 5 or 7. Four in this column is in one of those two. What is it? Seven. I thought I found something really cool when I eliminated that and it would lead to something, but it really doesn't seem to have. 2 is in one of those. There is no 3 there. Should never have put that in. I don't want to have to do what... Oh, Lord. What is wrong with me? That 6 makes that a 1 and makes that a 6. That 1 takes the 1 out of there. The 6 takes the 6 out of there. This is 1, 3, 5 now. What does that do? That 1 makes that a 3 and that a 1. The 3 makes that a 1 and that a 5. 15 minutes maybe that have been staring at me. Yeah. Makes that a 4. Means that's not a 4, which means that is a 4. Yeah, that must have been staring at me for 15 minutes. Wow. Okay. Well, I've still got solving to do. It's not over yet. Puts 1 in one of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still not restricted that I can see. 6, 7, 8, 9. Still not restrictable. 9 is in one of... No, it's not. 9 is in any of those. 1 is now in one of those two. 1, 2. That's a 1, 3 pair. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 5, 9 pair. So that means this is a known digit and that must be the 7. Which means that is not a 7. 7 is in there. This is a known. It's 2, 5. Which does not seem to help me much. I have to get that from when I place either the 5 in here or the 2 in here. 2 is, yeah, it's in one of those. I can't believe I missed that. That 5 is looking in, making that 9 and that 5. 1 is in one of those two. 3 is in one of those two. Because of all of that. 1, 3, 5, and 1, 3, 5, 6, 7 down here. I'd looked at this row. I'm wondering if this is coming back into its own. Seven is... Oh, this is now looking back. So all of those see that cell. So 7 is in one of those two, which puts 7 right there, and that makes that a 6, which makes that a 6, and that is not a 6. So 7 is, anyway, the 6s. So 6 is in one of those two, and that's given me an X-Wing and 6s the same way I've got the X-Wing on 8s. 7 now... 7 and 7 means 7 is in there. That one sees that cell, that one sees that cell. This right here is a 7. That sees that cell, so that becomes a 5. That is not the 5. That sees that cell, so that becomes the 7. That is not the 7. That sees over here, making that the 7. That is not the 7. That covered, I think, the spot of a 6. Yeah, that now has to be a 6. Is that all the 6s? No. Once I put that in, though, it is. That's a 6. That's an 8. That's an 8. That is not an 8. That is now a 4, if I trust my pencil marks. And the only reason I wouldn't is because I've completely screwed this puzzle completely before now. There, 2 and 9. That 2 looks over, making that 9, and that 2 means that's not a 9. So these are 1, 4, and 7. Well, I can't put 4 and 7 in there, so that's the 1. This is a 4. This is a 7. There is no 7 here. I've got a 4, 9 pair. Both of those, the 9 has to go in one of those, which means that if I put a 9 there, I knock a 9 out of both of those. That's the 5, which I could have got by just looking at the column. But, you know, why would I do things the easy way starting now? That 3 looks up, making that 1 and that 3. The 3 makes that 1 and that 3. The 2 looks up, making that 5 and that 2. And I'm now working down the grid. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5 and 9, resolved by box 1. These are 2 and 3. So that is 3 and that is 2. Is this resolved by anything yet? Not obviously. So these, however, will be mostly resolved. 1 and 5, which does not seem to be resolved. 3 and 9. Also not jumping out at me. This column has to be. This needs to be the 3, which makes that the 9 and that 3. Now it's jumping out at me. That 9 looks back, making that 4. That 9, that 4. I'm going to have to get this from over here, I think. These are 1, 2, and 9. We can't put 2 in the middle. Can't put 9 at the bottom. Can't put 9 at the top. That's the 9. This is a 1, 2 pair. That 2 resolves them. That's the 1. That's the 2. Across here, this needs to be a 1 or a 5, and it can't be a 5. This is a 1. This is a 5. This is a 1. We've only got a single box left, so I can just start putting in digits. That's the 2. That's the 3. That's the 4. That's the 5, and we put in the 9, and we complete the puzzle. So that was about 40 minutes, which should have been about 25. Sorry about that Jodawo. I really got stuck on spotting the 6, looking at the 6, 7 pair in row 1. Right at the top of the grid. Didn't see it. I hope that you all who gave this a try, and you should have, spotted that a lot faster than I did. And those of you who watched my solve, I imagine that you were like pointing at me and saying rude words. It's a lot harder to see things when you're doing it on camera because you're thinking about so much more. You're thinking about, what do I need to say? What do I need to be talking about? What do I need to say to sound interesting to the people who are doing it? Don't swear. I'm an Australian. We tend to swear a lot. Yeah, there's so much that you're thinking about that it's very easy to miss stuff. And people say, "Oh, do it on a smaller grid," but I have eyesight issues, so I need to do it on a very large grid. Like the grid on my screen is that big; it's the size of my head, and even then, I have to use Visual Assist software sometimes to be able to see more. So it's not like make it smaller so that I have to scan smaller distance, because if I make it smaller, I can't see the numbers. So yeah, it's, oh well, that's the way it goes. I will come back to you with another puzzle that you can attempt on your own and not watch me fumble through, or enjoy myself watching. However you enjoy my channel, I'm more than happy with it. I hope you have a good time and good luck with all of your solves.